Hi, I'm Todd Albee with SilverFire, and today we're going to talk about the Super Dragon, the SilverFire fan stove. This is an incredible stove. This stove is much faster than your home gas or electric range. Really a fantastic stove if you're boiling large pots of water, if you're frying, if you're grilling. I get a lot of questions on what kind of cookware can be used on this stove. Anything that's going to conduct heat. This is simply a grill that you can cobble up. It's just a replacement grate and grill with some lava rock and then woven together and makes a wonderful surface for grilling. We have a antique waffle iron, and we will have a video showing that even waffles can be made on the Super Dragon. This is an Asian grill plate, and you can see the cast iron trivet on the Super Dragon. This fits and locks right on there. This is a wonderful grill to use for thin meats and vegetables. Dribble your sauces off and falls in the stove into the pot. Cast iron is always a great candidate on any wood-fired stove. Large pots. The Super Dragon is a very robust, very stable stove that can support massive pots. So the other thing, this is actually a Hunter, but it has the same insulation blanket as the Super Dragon. So these stoves will get hot. They have very robust combustion chambers, but if your little ones reach out and touch the sides, they're not going to get a second, third degree burn. They're going to pull their hand back, it'll be warm. But for safety, all of our stoves are insulated, and you can see the fiber blanket right here. What we have with the SilverFire is this is a T-Lud stove, a top lit updraft stove. T-Luds are faster cooking and cleaner burning than rocket stoves, a well-designed T-Lud. And the way we clean up emissions is to first, you have with any stove primary air coming to the bottom of the stove, and then we have secondary combustion on top. So as I said, a T-Lud's a top lit updraft stove, and I'll tilt this down and you can see the fuel that we've put in vertically. So the T-Lud, you do not reach into the stove and light it. You insert your fuel vertically, then grab some tinder, small tinder, and put it on top. Then you can grab some paper or whatever you'd prefer to use. You notice that the paper I'm inserting in here is light and fluffy, or perhaps it is, some folks prefer to use cotton ball with a little alcohol soaked in them, or some people use Vaseline and cotton balls. It really doesn't matter. One of my favorites is simply tack cloth that you pick up at the hardware store. The tack cloth does have a little linseed oil in it, and what's nice about it is it's a nice wide surface. It burns very clean. You can just lay that down on top if you want of your tinder or whatever you want. One of the advantages of using tack cloth in a T-Lud is your tinder is going to be lit very uniformly. This is especially important if you use pellets in the stove. Wood pellets, if you light just one side, they can burn unevenly, and at the end of your burn you can have a stove combustion chamber full of half burned and fully burned fuel and a big mix, and it's a big mess. So T-Lud should always be lit in a circular pattern for very even ignition to be used most efficiently. Well, let's go ahead and light the stove, and we'll use a butane lighter, or it could be a steel. It really doesn't matter what you want to use. And you notice that I'm laying the knife down firm on the combustion chamber and pulling the steel away to get it ignited, and there we have the stove is ignited. So we're going to let that burn for just a minute. and get an even burn across the stove. Okay, we've gone ahead and lit the stove. We've turned the fan on. The fan is in the ignition setting. And when you operate the Super Dragon for the cleanest burn, you're going to work to the left from the 10 o'clock position here down to 9 o'clock. Now you can see this is the actual fan housing, and the fan housing, what you're doing is you adjust the knob. The top is our secondary air that we adjust for a cleaner burn, and then you can see the little orifices on the bottom for our primary air under the fire. So the more secondary air that we add, the cleaner the burn. And we can see that as I adjust the knob. Okay, now we have the fire started, and we'll go ahead and add a little more secondary air. And notice that you're not seeing any smoke. Now I will turn the fan to the left, to the far right, and we'll add more primary air, and you'll see a much more intense flame coming up. This is not as clean a flame as moving to the far left. The far right setting says charcoal or embers. So this is a setting that you want to use when you're introducing new fuel to the stove. And I have the fan on low setting right here. So we'll go ahead and turn this here, and you can see in the intense sunlight it's hard to see the flame. And I'll go ahead and just show you, if you were losing fuel, I can just add some more biomass and reignite it at any time for higher firepower cooking. And you can see the gasification and the multiple levels of combustion. And you can see how clean it is. My stick just caught on fire. You saw a little smoke here, but there's no evident smoke here. So now I'm going to turn it back to the far left to the 9 o'clock position for a cleaner burn, and we'll let that burn a minute. So real quickly, I'm going to show you the technology behind the TLUT. As with all stoves, we have the primary air coming in through the bottom of the stove, and in the case of the Super Dragon, it's coming in through the louvered back of the stove. Then we also have, more importantly, the secondary preheated air traveling up the wall of the stove, re-burning a second time on top. And you can see the secondary gasification ports on this smaller Scout portable backpack stove, but it's the same technology and design principle in the Super Dragon, and why it's burning so clean, and why you don't see a bunch of smoke with very little fuel. So there you have the Super Dragon, and you can see again in summary, this is a fan stove. Very, very clean burning. It's great for any kind of cookware, whether you're using a wok, whether you're making waffles, whether you're grilling with a grill plate, whether you're using your own DIY ghetto grill that you've cobbled up, whether you're using cast iron, big pots, it doesn't matter. This is a very robust stove for any type of cooking you'd like to do. And again, with the pulse width modulator, we can turn it way down the fan speed for very low firepower cooking, or we can increase it for a high firepower cooking. Thank you.